In this episode, we're summarizing the 5th episode from Season 4 of the Wire series titled Alliances. The episode first aired on October 8th, 2006. In the beginning, in a dark alley at night, Dookie and the crew are gathered talking about Lex's disappearance. Namond expresses concern that Chris Parlow has been turning people into zombies. Donna and Albert agree. Michael thinks Chris has influence over his victims in order to be able to lead them into those vacant buildings to begin with before being able to take them out. They hear gunshots and Namond thinks it must have been a 9mm, but Michael responds saying it's probably a .40 caliber due to the buck. It's a sad introduction to see just how much Michael has learned about firearms just from hearing shots so often in his neighborhood. As we catch up with Prez, he implements new rules in his math classes, offering rewards like stickers and a prize drawer for well-behaved students. Disruptive students face an hour of after-school detention. Namond Bryce objects but avoids detention through discussion. Zenobia wants stickers but ends up with detention after tossing away Prez's pencil. Michael gets detention for refusing to attempt to do his work. Kareem alerts Namond when assistant principal Marsha Donnelly searches the bushes, leading to the discovery and confiscation of Namond's concealed knife. Prez tries to refocus the class, but Namond's refusal to start tasks results in detention and a heated exchange that leads to Namond being sent to the office. As we catch up with Colvin's research group, he proposes targeting potential violent offenders in schools and categorizes the students into two groups, one called the Stoop Kids and the other the Corner Kids. Stoop Kids are kids that have better support systems at home and are allowed to play outside near their stoop and with boundaries, if at all. As a result of this, those students are better behaved compared to the kids that have stepped off of the stoop and gone into the streets. The other group of kids are called the Corner Kids. These children are already accustomed to the street life and they are the ones who disrupt the classes the most frequently. Colvin's idea is to separate these students in order to maximize the outcomes of their study. 8th grade head teacher Mrs. Grace Sampson agrees, but Dr. David Parenti notes similarities to tracking the students, which has negative political connotations. Sampson emphasizes the need for a program benefiting corner kids without lowering expectations. We are able to see here how the educators are more concerned with the negative connotation of quote-unquote tracking students rather than first being concerned with how this may be beneficial to the students as a whole. Yet another example in the series of how often the political connotations are often more important than the actual solutions that could positively impact the lives of many of the children, essentially showing how politics matter more than the people they are intended to serve. In another scene, Randy shares his concerns with Dookie after school about Chris potentially targeting him. Randy admits his involvement in Lex's murder. Dookie tries to reassure Randy, suggesting Chris kills victims in vacant buildings. To support his point, Dookie mentions witnessing a murder from his bedroom window. Taking Michael and Randy with him to one of the buildings, Dookie reveals a body, forcing Randy to confront the reality that Chris's victims are indeed dead and not zombies. Remember, I am summarizing this entire series as well as other popular works of literature, movies, and TV shows as well. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next episode or series. If you would like to see the playlists of our summaries, click on the link in the description. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Click like on the video if you found it valuable, because that helps YouTube recommend it to viewers like you. Consider supporting us on Patreon or buying us a coffee if you can. That really goes a long way towards helping us grow this channel. Later on, we catch up with Tommy Carcetti, or Carcetti, when he is visited by Major Valchek. Valchek informs Carcetti about veteran detective Norris's reassignment from the case regarding the murder of a case witness. He discusses the situation with Norman Wilson and Teresa D'Agostino. They consider using the information strategically, with Wilson proposing that Councilman Gray can be given the story to press the mayor on the witness case, potentially diverting more votes from him. During a strategy meeting, Royce is interrupted by Parker, who informs him about the media coverage of the witness story. Royce confronts Commissioner Burrell, listing his department's problems and criticizing his handling of the witness case. Royce dismisses Burrell and questions Deputy Commissioner Rawls. Rawls admits knowing Burrell's mistake and expresses loyalty to Royce. Royce asks Rawls to resolve the issue, hinting at a potential appointment as the new Baltimore Police Department commissioner after the election. During a meeting with State Delegate Watkins, Royce continues to drink alcohol and says that he will fire Burrell after the election for allowing these news stories to weaken his campaign. Odell Watkins, on the other hand, blames Mayor Royce for Burrell's actions. Watkins explains how it was Royce who directed Burrell to slow down the investigation case to begin with. Royce, of course, denies any responsibility, as any average politician would do. Watkins also accuses Royce of aligning himself with corrupt individuals like Senator Clay Davis and neglecting Baltimore's African-American community. Royce refuses to apologize for any of these actions, and this is the last straw for Watkins, and he withdraws his support for Royce. Parker urges Royce to apologize to Watkins and to make peace with him, as he is a crucial element to their campaign victory. But Royce is intoxicated, full of pride, and refuses to apologize or reconcile with Watkins. Rawls' insider in the mayor's office, Lieutenant Hoskins, then informs Rawls of the situation between Royce and Watkins, and how Watkins will no longer be supporting Royce's campaign. In this scene, we see how deeply Mayor Royce has been corrupted by power. Perhaps at one point, Mayor Royce cared for the people he governed, but those days are now long behind him. The inevitable outcome of working in an institution that demands corruption. While campaigning with Wilson, Rawls informs Carcetti about the fallout between Watkins and Royce. Rawls expresses disappointment in the mayor and a desire to make positive changes in the department. Carcetti, with Wilson, rushes to find State Delegate Odell Watkins, promising him a significant role in his administration if he lends support. Watkins questions this decision, but Carcetti emphasizes his potential for change and the need for strong African-American leaders in his administration. Carcetti convinces Watkins, and they agree to join Carcetti's ticket with Marlo Daniels's. As we catch up with Marlo's crew, we see Marlo and Chris discussing how they will handle Omar after he robbed Marlo at the card game. Marlo initially wants to put a bounty on Omar, but Chris persuades him to take a more subtle approach as a way of avoiding retaliation from Omar. Chris later informs Marlo about Slim Charles arranging a meeting between Proposition Joe and Marlo. Oldface Andre then meets with Marlo, who instructs Oldface Andre to blame Omar for a planned store robbery that's going to happen soon. Although Andre is concerned about Omar seeking revenge against him for cooperating with the police, Marlo assures Andre that Omar will not return after being arrested. Chris and Snoop carry out the store robbery, resulting in a fatality and a head injury for Andre. Chris reminds Andre to blame Omar before reporting the success to Marlo. Marlo then asks Chris to take him to a meeting with Proposition Joe. During the meeting, Joe shares information from street and justice system sources and shows Marlo warrants for a drug kingpin named Charlie. Joe considers helping Charlie, but mentions that he is not a member of the co-op and thus will do nothing. Marlo inquires about video surveillance and eventually agrees to cooperate with the co-op for information on the individuals who are investigating him. That was episode number 42, titled Alliances. To watch the next or previous episode summary, click on the link in the description or at the end of this video. In the description, you will also find additional links for supporting our channel. I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.